Guess what, you guys? I came home to check my incubator, and I had a surprise. Look at there. Oh my goodness. This is a whole 3 days too early, and these bad boys done already hatched. Look at what I got. 3 days too early, bud. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the egg turner out of here and get these bad boys in a true lockdown. And I'm going to put this little guy back in where he belongs. He's not supposed to be out yet. You kind of early, man. I got to get you back in the incubator where it's nice and warm so he can warm up, get his feathers dry, and hopefully within the next 2 or 3 days, I guess the rest of these bad boys will hatch. I don't particularly like these little bad boys to hatch early, but what that means is my humidity has been a little higher than it should have been, even though I called myself being very diligent and watching the humidity. So again, I'm going to get these out and get a pad down so that way this little guy does not end up with splay leg and end up with bad looking legs and feet, and get the rest of these eggs out and get them in lockdown. Whew, man, what a surprise that was. So I went ahead and took the eggs out of here, put this little guy in here because I don't want him getting cold. I want him to stay nice and warm. And lucky for me, I bumped one of the eggs and cracked this joker. I don't know if y'all can see it. There's a crack right there, but I'm going to go ahead and probably, let's see, trying to see if I hear any chirping in here. But I'm going to go ahead and probably have to crack that open and just make sure all is well. I really don't want to leave it and let it try to, you know, hatch, because if I cracked it and traumatized it, that little booger may not survive. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my water basins here. And like I say, get this ready for, it's in lockdown, so we're going to put it in there for real now. I got some warm distilled water. This is not hot, but it is a little bit warm. So that way I can go ahead and drive that humidity up. When you're incubating quail, from days 1 through 15, you want your humidity to be between 40 and 50%. So I try to keep it around 45%. But once it gets to day 15 to day 18, that's what we call lockdown. And at that time, you want to try to drive your humidity between 65 and 75%. The purpose of lockdown is because you want to, this is clean, you want to drive that humidity up so that way the moisture will get absorbed into the shell, because you have to remember eggshells are porous, and as that gets nice and moist with those eggshells, or excuse me, as the eggshell gets nice and moist, it softens the shell, so that way it's much easier for those little baby chicks to, you know, crack that egg open and start pipping and unzipping, and then pretty soon they hatch. All right, I got to get a few other items and I'll be right back. Another thing I like to do is I like to get a small container with a sponge, and I have the sponge pointing upward, and I will add warm water onto this sponge and in this container, and that also helps to keep the humidity nice and warm, because I got to keep that humidity up. Now, I go ahead and put this little pad down inside my incubator because this is like a little slip pad. So that way, the little quail don't slide around, and I don't want them to end up with splay leg. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that this is not close to any of those heaters in the incubator. I don't want to cause a fire hazard. There we go, that should be pretty good. Just move it over just a little bit more. There we go. Adding the sponge with the warm water, I do that because, again, it increases the surface area inside your incubator, and again, also helps to maintain your humidity. There we go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add some eggs, but first I'm gonna turn the lights out and try to candle some of these bad boys and make sure that I have good viable chicks inside these eggs. When you are putting your incubator in lockdown, first thing you want to do, make sure you take that egg turner out. Do not leave that egg turner in place. So you can see here too, this is the shell of the one that hatched, and I think I showed you guys, oops, on a previous video. Well, so much for that. Where you actually could see where the chicks break the little air pocket here. There we go, now you're in view. They break the air pocket to start the pipping process. So first thing they do is they break the air sac that's on the inside of the egg. And then eventually they pip, and that's when they start to actually break the shell of the egg here, and then they start to unzip the egg. I can't get the egg back together, but y'all know what I mean. And eventually that's where it hatches. So looking inside this freshly hatched egg, hopefully y'all can see. You can see the blood vessels inside it. You can see the blood supply that the little chick had, which is kind of neat. And you can see your yolk sac. All those little neat pieces and things that you can see inside of your shell tells you a whole lot about the hatching process. All right, so let me turn these lights out, and hopefully we can see through some of these eggs. A lot of times with quail eggs, they're really, really, really difficult to candle. So I'm going to see if I can do that here. All right, so we're going to candle some of these eggs here and see if we find any that are good or any that's not good. Sorry for all the light and the brightness and stuff in here. This egg, to me, does not look like it developed properly. At this stage, it should be nice and dark with a good air sac at the top. I'm going to candle these pretty quickly. All right, so this one looks like a good one there. It's got an air sac at the top, and the rest is pretty dark. Actually, you can see the chicken here moving around. Hopefully you guys can see that on camera. It's kind of neat. That chick is wiggling around in there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera at this point, and I'm going to candle these like super fast. And like I say, the ones that are duds, they're going to get moved off to the side. We're going to rock and roll on these pretty quickly. So this is how fast I like to candle my eggs, because I don't want to keep them out for very long. That one's almost too dark to even see through. I think this one might be a dud. Yeah, that one did not develop well. So this one goes to the dud center. The dud corner, I'm going to call it. How about that? Here's another dud. Every once in a while you run into some duds. And the reason that these don't develop, now these are just the colors on the egg itself, but that's not any viable chicks inside of there. A lot of times when you're dealing with eggs, you may run into some duds because sometimes you just don't have fertilization. You may not have successful fertilization on your chicks, or on your eggs rather, excuse me. So that does happen. That's just part of it. Sometimes you get some good ones and sometimes you don't. Oh, that's a good one. Put that back. At least it looks good. Oh, that's a dud. That's a no-go. Look like a bright light bulb, so that's got to go. So yeah, I just did this row here. Hard to tell on that one. Yeah, that's a no-go. So it goes back up there at the top. There's another dud. That's a no-go. It's another no-go. If you notice too that you get a whole bunch of no good eggs in a certain section of your call these things your egg turner, it may be the incubator, because incubators are going to have hot and cold spots, and it kind of lets you know. Let's see, is that one pipping? Yep, let me get these bad boys in here, y'all. That one looks like it's starting to pip. That one did not develop well. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let's see if I can get in view here. Right here, it's starting to pip. So I need to get those back in quickly. One thing too of determining what we call the hatch rate, which tells you what percent of these eggs are viable. This one's a question mark, so I'm probably gonna put a light on that and put a number or put a mark or something on it to let me know that's a iffy. And then let me see the one that's actually cracked. So like I say, back to your hatch rate. Ah, darn, that's actually possibly a good egg. I don't know. I may put this back in here and just see what happens. We'll give that one a try. So these two on the end, we'll put marks on. So back to the hatch rate. How to determine that is you take the percent of eggs that go in lockdown, and then you also take the percent of eggs that actually hatch. Now, some people will take the full number of eggs to the number of eggs that hatched, and I think that actually is better because that's more true. You know, some of these were not fertile, so you can't say that you can't use those as part of your hatch rate. It's not true. You don't want to just use the ones that go in lockdown and then just the ones that hatch. That's kind of an unfair advantage, and to me that's not very truthful. So we're going to say the total number of eggs, and then you're going to also say the number that actually hatched, do the ratio of that, and that will be your hatch rate. All right, so let me get the light on. We're gonna get these bad boys back in the incubator, y'all. This little booger here looks like he's pretty happy in here, tumbling around like he's doing somersaults for the Olympic tryouts. But that's what they do. He looks pretty happy. All right, so you can go ahead and place these any direction, anywhere. Hi, Bubby-O. Welcome to the world. Happy birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Yeah, Bubby-O. Happy birthday. Yes, sir. Now, these little baby quail, or these baby chicks, whatever you're hatching, man, these little jokers going to be bumping around against these eggs. These things, they are rough little jokers. So sometimes you'll have your eggs crash into each other. That's all right. It ain't gonna hurt them. Y'all probably hear a lot of noise in the background. It's because I have a second incubator that is also going. I think that one has like 8 quail eggs. Not many in that one. I'm trying it out again. I hadn't used that incubator for a while, so just decided I'd see what's up and see if it's still working good. Hi, Bubby. Hi, little Bubby. I love baby chicks. I'm going to tell y'all something. Once you start hatching, man, it's addicting. I can't talk. It's addicting. More than getting tattoos. More than getting new chicks from these farm stores. Before you know it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I keep hatching. I'm trying to find my eggs. This is the one that had the crack. I don't know. We'll just give it a try and see what happens. And then I got one in here that's got, I put a question mark on it. I'm going to keep my eyes on this one. If it doesn't look like it's progressing, I'm going to go ahead and take it out. And put it right there. Let me try to find my other egg. Give me just a second. All right, so here's my egg with the question mark on it. Let me turn this light on so y'all can see. There we go. So this one has question mark on it. So this is the one that looked like it was pipping. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here. And again, like I say, the one that's got the X on it is the one that I managed to crack. I'll just give it a little bit of time. We'll see if anything happens. And if it don't, I'm gonna take that bad boy out of here. Here is my thermometer, hygrometer. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in here so that way I can keep up with the humidity, because I want to make sure the humidity stays where it is supposed to. Actually, I'm gonna put it a little more there so I can see it when I look inside of here. All right, put this back on. Whew. And I like to keep this covered up. I keep a moving blanket over top of mine, and then just every once in a while I'll come in here and peek on it. To me, the moving blanket helps to keep the temperature inside the humidity like it's supposed to. Excuse me, I didn't mean to burp there. One more thing I want to show you too is before I had a stopper inside that hole, because that helps to keep the temperature and the humidity where it needs to be. But I'm gonna go ahead and open this bad boy up, because these little guys, as they hatch, they got to be able to have some oxygen. Okay, so I'm going to cover this back up. But I'm gonna leave that open a little bit, not cover it too terribly tightly. Let me reach over here, sorry. Probably blocking everything, I apologize. Cover that back up, but we're gonna give a little bit of room there so a little bit of oxygen can flow through there. All right, we'll be back in a day or two, and I'll show you guys, hopefully, a nice incubator full of baby quail. I want to tell you guys one more thing about your eggs. Now listen, these are the eggs of mine that were no-goes, so they're going to hit the trash can here in a minute. But anyway, make sure you candle your eggs when you go to put these bad boys in lockdown, okay? You don't have to. I highly recommend it. Why? Because if you end up with some eggs like these that are duds, okay, and you cook these bad boys in that incubator and heat them bad boys up, guess what? All that nasty stuff on the inside of that egg is going to build up, and you're going to have a busted egg yolk in your incubator. Now, you're talking about nasty. That is something, the smell of that, oh my God, that is something that will make you put your house up for sale immediately. You'll probably give the house away for free. It smells that bad. Oh my gosh. I've had that happen to me one time where I had an egg that exploded inside the incubator. Man, straight nasty. Not only does it smell bad, but the bacteria that comes out of that egg is enough to make it where none of the chicks will survive, and that will give you a very, very bad outcome. All right, y'all. See you in a few days. Wow, check this out, y'all. It's been, I'd say, maybe about an hour and a half since I did the original video from where I found my little guy hanging out. And you can see over in this corner, there's 1, 2, 3 that's hatched. And I got this one here, and I got one up there. Boy, they're doing the dang thing. I tell you what, when they first come out, they're all wet and floppy and wobbly, and they're just barely able to move. They just kind of just pop around here and there. I tell you what, I'm so thankful that I was able to get here when I did. And you look over here in this corner, I don't know if y'all can see. Let me try to move my camera around a little bit. Okay, you can see a little bit. This little guy over here in the corner, you'll see him just moving that little egg around. And even though he's beating that egg and rolling it all over the place, it's okay. Those poor little eggs will crash into each other and they're just flipping all over the place. I'll come back here shortly. Hopefully we'll be able to see some that's maybe actually hatching. All right. Well, look at here, folks. It's been almost 24 hours from when I got home yesterday and found the first little chick had hatched and was laying inside the egg turner. And look at here, y'all. We got an incubator full of these little jokers running around. Oh my goodness sake. Little cheeps everywhere. So we're still going. I'm going to give them still another couple of days because it really and truly is not even time for them to hatch yet. But like I say, I think my humidity on the incubator was probably higher than I thought at times, or had some fluctuations. And so we had these bad boys hatch out 3 days early. Let me show you guys something else about my incubator that I like to do. Now, this is what I do for all of my styrofoam incubators, because I don't like to open the lid on this when it's going. So I will drill some holes in the side. And you see I got large and small, and those are for the size of the water chambers that I've got. And I put these little tiny plastic tubings in there, and I just use a syringe and put my distilled water in there. I also like to mark my incubator so I know, make sure I got the sides together. You know, I don't want to put it facing the wrong direction or something of that sort, because I've got that, and then I also have an area where my cord comes out. So I'll put that right there. So that's the cord for my egg turner. So I have areas that are specified for certain things. Another thing I want to show you, and I don't know if you can see it through this glass because the glass is dirty, but as these chicks are hatching, you will notice a fluctuation in the temperature and a big fluctuation in the humidity. So don't worry, it'll be okay. It'll go back. At first, when they hatch, you know, they're breathing a lot of air, and a lot of heat comes out too, because you have to think chickens and winged creatures have high body temperatures. And so that also causes the humidity to go way up. But that's okay. The rest of them will be fine. That'll just help the eggs to soften, and then the rest of them can hatch. Another thing too is when that first chick hatches, you notice that chick is just cheep. He's trying to encourage the rest of them to come on and join him. So pretty soon, once that first one hatches, the rest of them take off. Well, listen, thank you guys for following along, and I appreciate all of your support. You guys be sure you hit that subscribe button, and please like and share all of my videos. And thanks a lot, you guys. Y'all have a good day. Bye. This is what we ended up with, y'all. We got about 25 of these little jokers in here running around. I am so tickled.